How to create and delete a fitting bin inside PractiCAD. To create a fitting bin in PractiCAD, you must first go to the library icon in the AutoCAD ribbon. If you're using Express Toolbars, the icon will be there. When you click on it, you're going to notice as a default we're usually already on the ductwork section. However, PractiCAD usually remembers the last section you were working on. So here what we're going to do is click on the little plus key and open up our little organization tree for fitting libraries. Here's a list of all the fitting libraries available in your program. These libraries are being updated virtually every week so you can constantly check for new fittings. If I would like to be able to see all of the fittings in a particular library, I can click on it. Here I'm going to click on the Practicam single wall. You can see that I have a mixture of rectangular, round, and oval duct underneath this one library. If I would like to further limit my choices, I can open up the next little section of the tree and go down to just rectangular or round. Here I'm only going to get a list of all of the round fittings. Now, once I've found the fitting that I'd like to work with, I can either double click on the fitting here, or I could go find it on my tree. One of the easiest ways is to just look at the icons and then double click on the fitting you want to work with. Now, one very important point to mention here is that notice that I do not see my fitting bins in the background until I am on the end of the organization tree. By the end of the tree, we mean there is no plus key next to this fitting. You will see once again, if I go to a higher level of the tree like round, notice that the fitting bins are not active. This means that I cannot place anything into the bin itself. I cannot do it until those bins are open. So you can see if I were to come down here and double click on round gourd 7, once PractiCAD has one single fitting on the left highlighted, now my bins will open and I can exchange fittings between bins. For example, if I would like to take this round elbow and add it to this fitting bin, I can drag it, drop it, and here it will be. You will notice that I cannot put two of the same fitting inside a bin. When I do that, PractiCAD will delete the first one and place the second one. So you can only have one type in each bin. I can also move fittings between bins by just simply dragging and dropping. If I would like to create a new bin, all I have to do is drag the fitting and let it go on top of free space. Here, PractiCAD will design a fitting bin for us. There are four basic icons in this section. The first icon is the change alignment key. By holding down with my mouse and dragging to the left, down, right, I can choose where first the name of the fitting bin is located and also what side it will be docked to. Just like containers in the system, by clicking on this little thumbtack key, it's this icon here, it's actually going to dock the bin to the wall. If I uncheck it by clicking on it again, I can drag it and have what we call a free floating bin. So let's take our change alignment key and hold it down and pull back up to put it back on top. The next icon is the eye. The eye is either open or closed. Here it is closed, here is it open. If it's open, you're going to see when you exit out of my library, and I'm going to exit out of the library clicking on the close button, the X button. Notice that I can see my bin here. That's because the eye was left open. If the eye was left closed, we will not see the bin when we're working in our drawing space. One of the number one reasons you might find when you don't have a bin that's on your screen that you've created is because you've put the eyeball closed. So most of the time you'll leave it open, but this allows you to turn bins on and off as you choose. And actually this can be done using this icon here, which is a bin icon, and we're going to go over that in later tutorials. So there's two ways to do it, but one way is inside the library itself. The last little key here is the up and down arrow. When it's up, PractiCAD is going to have this bin act as most do, meaning I highlight, it opens, I pull away, it closes. However, if I check it down, it's going to keep the bin locked open. If I was using dual monitors, we might want to put this particular fitting bin on the left and lock it open. If you're using one screen, often we keep it as a flyout so it opens and closes as we highlight our mouse over it. So that covers the four icons. The last thing we can do, of course, is name our fitting bin whatever we'd like. Notice here that we're going to go back to the round elbow. I'm going to pull my library screen down. I can rename this whatever I want. I'm just going to call it PCAD elbows. And right here, PractiCAD is going to list it. I can also change the color by just clicking on the color button, selecting a color, and that will change it. If I decide that I'd like to delete a fitting or delete the bin, there are two ways. If I actually pull the fitting outside of one bin into another, PractiCAD will delete that bin. Once there's no more fittings in a bin, PractiCAD will delete the bin itself. So if this fitting was back here, created on a new bin, if I actually go to drag it onto open space and put it in the recycle bin, notice this little barbecue pit. This is the recycle bin. It does not open up until you actually pull the fitting onto the screen. Notice here you do not see it on the bottom right. However, if we drag this fitting, the second we start to drag it, it opens up. And it's always in the same place. Once I let go on the barbecue pit, it will basically recycle that fitting. Please take note that you cannot delete an original PractiCAD template. The round elbow gourd is still present in your libraries. You can create another bin with it. All it does by dragging it and putting it in the recycle bin is actually delete it from your bin. You cannot erase a fitting itself in the system. The last thing I want to take note is we're going to close out of the library. The proper way to do this is with the close key. If you decide to hit the minimize button, watch what happens. Now we've got all of the bins open, and this is a place where we cannot work. This is not our drawing space. Nothing can be done here. Most of the time, if the sound on your computer is turned up and you click the mouse, you're going to hear a little ding because you're unable to work. You're still in the PractiCAD library. To close out, you must click on this X where it says close. When you do that, all the bins will retract and close, and now we're in our workspace. This concludes the tutorial on creating and deleting bins.